celebrates the cultural and economic potential of Northeast India. This event honors the 8 northeastern states, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, and Tripura, collectively known as Ashtalakshmi, or the 8 forms of prosperity. It serves as a vibrant platform to showcase the region's textiles, artisanal crafts, and geographical indication platform products. Overall, the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav is not just a showcase of Northeast India's cultural and economic potential, but a celebration of its place within the broader national and global framework. Through this event, the Ministry of Dona hopes to highlight the richness of Northeast India's heritage while opening up new avenues for trade, investment, and collaboration, ultimately contributing to the holistic development of this region. It's an honor to be part of such an amazing gathering. Once again, I welcome you all. Today we have with us very interesting panelists. Our first session is Potential for Diversification of Energy Mix for Power Generation and Transmission Across the Region. The convener for this session is Dr. Arup Kumar Mishra. Mishra is a distinguished academic and environmentalist with a passion for sustainable development and science outreach in Assam. Welcome, sir. Thank you for having us. He has served in leadership roles including as director of ASTEC and AEDA, Assam Science, Technology and Environmental Council, and Assam Energy Development Agency, where he initiated key projects in renewable energy and environmental conservation. A huge round of applause for our convener. Now I take the pleasure to please welcome on stage. We already have our panelists on stage, which I would like to introduce you all. The first panelist for the day is Dr. Shri K.G. Kenya, Ministry for Parliamentary Affairs and Power in Nagaland. He has had a distinguished political career, including roles as a member of the Legislative Assembly, Deputy Chairman of the State Planning Board, and Minister of State for Irrigation and Flood Control. Very welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. Next up, we have Shri Mahesh Babu IS. Mahesh Babu IS is the Managing Director of Uttar Gujarat Wej Company Limited and Gujarat Power Corporation Limited. With a background in energy and decarbonization, he is leading Gujarat's remarkable renewable energy transition, spearheading major projects like hybrid solar wind parks and green hydrogen ecosystems. A huge round of applause for Shri Arun Mahesh Babu. Next, we have Mrinal Krishna Chaudhary. Chaudhary is a former director of the Assam Energy Development Agency and a strong advocate for renewable energy in Assam. He has focused on decentralized energy solutions such as rooftop solar and biomass to address the region's energy needs. Welcome, sir. Next, we have a very interesting panelist, Shri S.S. Adhikari. He is the Executive Director Technical of NIPCO with over 35 years of experience in Indian electricity sector. He has been instrumental in advancing renewable energy projects, particularly in hydroelectric power, and has contributed significantly to the development of infrastructure in Northeast India, including solar and thermal power plants. A huge round of applause. Next, we have Professor Devendra Chandra Borwa. Borwa, sir, many welcome to have joined us today. He is a professor in the Department of Energy at Tezpur University, specializing in energy management, bioenergy, and rural energy planning. With more than 30 years of experience, academic and research experience, he has played a key role in advancing renewable energy solutions in India. Next, we have Shri Rajkumar Chaudhary. He is the Chairman and Managing Director of NHPC Limited. With over 30 years of experience in the hydropower industry, he has led the successful completion of several major hydropower projects in India and Bhutan. A round of applause for Rajkumar Chaudhary, sir. Last but not the least, we have with us is Shri S.K. Barua. He's a CEO of Northeast Gas Distribution Company Limited and former managing director of Numaligarh Refinery Limited. With over 30 years in the oil and gas industry, he has played a key role in expanding NRL's production capacity and in the development of cross-border pipelines. A huge round of applause for our panelists who are here gathered to share their insightful and invaluable comments today. So before we start the session, I request Mr. Neeraj Kumar, managing NEHHDC, to kindly felicitate our guests, please. So please make your way to the dais. Thank you. The felicitation with a traditional shawl. A huge round of applause, please. You are seeing that there are a lot of young people out here, and it's very important for you people to be here and listening to these very important discussions that is going to take place today. So much. So are we ready to begin the session, sir? So handing over to you. Thank you.
Very good morning, one and all present here. Respected Mr. Kenyan, Honorable Minister of the Government of Nagaland, respected panelists out here, distinguished guest invitees, and dear friends. I see a lot of young people out here. Whenever you have some doubts about a subject and you are going to be present there, it's better to become the chairman or convener. So that's what I precisely did. Although they have given very good words they have said about me, basically I'm not a power man. I'm from the environmental sector. But yeah, I have been involved with lots of projects. Mrinal Chaudhary sitting out there, second from right, is my classmate from higher secondary in Cotton College, Engineering College. He has done considerable work in solar power. Jipuda, like we call him Jipuda, is S.K. Borua from our MDM Numaligarh Refinery. He's a senior, whom I know from my student days when he joined Digboy Refinery. Professor Borua from Tezpur University is a very close friend of mine. Mr. Adhikari, I have not met very often, but yeah, sometimes we do cross paths in Guwahati. So this is what it's like when Sriporna telephoned me and says, because Sriporna and me were from college days very close friends, and she told me that we have to plan a thing. I said, okay. I'll give you a couple of names, you contact them. You also find from your side. And one thing is for sure, 8th Sunday morning, I'll be there to convene the session. I'll be a convener. Safe job. So, we are here for a very, very sensitive issue. Before I invite the panelists one by one, or from there, they can speak. A lot of hand microphones are there, cordless. Let me give you a brief idea. At least the young people should know where we sit today. Where we sit today. It is basically entire northeastern region, what you call Ashtalakshmi now. Sikkim joining us, 7 sisters. Earlier it was 7 sisters. Then Sikkim was taken to the fold. We are about 2.6 lakh square kilometer area, which is nothing but 7.9% of India's total expanse. It's about 3.76% of India's population. Of late, because of first look east and then act east policy, Northeast is now very much on the radar, national radar. I do not know what happened earlier. Neither we are here to discuss about the relationship between center and state. But as a person who has been groomed and brought up in Guwahati, largely in Guwahati, so I can feel that this, we talk about, greenery, maintenance of forest cover. Do you know what is the average of northeastern states taken together, Astalakshmi? 64% today. And we are talking about world average of 31%, Indian national average of just 21%. And what do they say in the books? 33.3% of any area, any state should be forest cover. We have got 64%. So therefore, definitely this region is going to be one of the key in the development process of sustainable development goals. You all have heard about SDGs, right? 17 points are there, out of which 169 actions to be taken.
All countries, all major countries have signed the protocol in Paris 2015 December. So in that context, northeastern India cannot be left out of the discussion if India wants to achieve this entire sustainable development goals. But unfortunately, 40% of untapped hydropower comes through these 8 states. India's 80%, 40% is from there. And I'm not telling you about how much has been developed. They will tell how much developed. I will say how much not developed, unrealized. 62,000 megawatt is still unrealized in solar and 56,480 unrealized in hydropower, hydroelectricity. And we have got a couple of solar and hydroelectricity men also here. Then besides that, people say that wind energy is not having potential in Northeast. Let me tell you, a very dependable survey done by Windbull analysis says that if you go to Gangtok, Tarebhir, Bomdila, Dibrugarh area, etc., just to name a few places, you have got ample of wind energy at the height of 10 meter or above that. With the windmill at 10 meter or above that, you can have ample of energy. And what is the thumb rule, basically? If you have sustained wind power, wind speed of 5 meters per second throughout the day, 24/7, you have good prospects. I myself visited recently the Dima Hasao district. There's a place called Gunjung, away from 30 kilometers away from Haflong. You won't believe the type of wind that has already been there. It's just wasted. Nature's energy being wasted in Gunjung. So, irony is, India's, in spite of talking about renewables, which is definitely coming to the forefront when you talk about energy mix, we are expected to have a lot of renewables, but at the same time, for next 3 decades, let me tell you, we have to import crude oil because 74% increase of oil is expected in the next 3 decades. And we have to rely upon that, and the most precious foreign exchange is going away in this particular, only one commodity being imported. So out of India's total reserves now, 13% of India's crude oil and 16% of natural gas production comes from NER, northeastern states. Tripura is contributing heavily towards the natural gas. And how can you become energy independent with this type of things? Therefore, Government of India published, many of you might be aware, hydrocarbon vision document for NER, separately for NER. It is called Hydrocarbon Vision Document 2030, where 5 pillars are shown here, 5 Ps: people, policy, partnership, projects, and production. I repeat again for the information of the panelists also, they might be able to throw some light. People, policy, partnerships, projects, and production. These 5 Ps have to go together in order to achieve what we say, development of energy. We are not here to give you some panacea or prescription for how much percentage should be oil, hydrocarbon, traditional fossil fuel, how much renewables. We first want that every home should be electrified. Every child should study in proper condition. Every kitchen should get safe cooking fuel. That's the basic necessity. How it comes, we don't bother. It can be biogas, it can be CNG, it can be LPG, LNG, fossil fuel, wind, anything it could be. So, What is challenging today is, you see, Northeast topography is very challenging. It is isolated, very high infrastructure cost, over-dependence on hydropower, impact of decreasing reservoir level, less amount of rain, climate change, etc., impact, which is coming very heavily. You talk about hydel development, right? You say India, Northeast is the powerhouse of hydropower development. But you also must be keeping in mind that climate change has definitely affected. Reports say many of the reservoirs are dry in lean season. So all these type of things, including land acquisition policy, political sensitivity, high transportation cost, everything is contributing towards the problems of energy in Northeast India. Therefore, when India is having about 488, 490 kilowatt hour per capita energy consumption, we are at 1/3 of that. All these results I have given you, some indicators I have told you, net result is that whatever you have done till now, any projects, even geothermal, international survey is saying that geothermal also you have got a lot of prospects. Arunachal Pradesh is one state which is trying to develop geothermal project. Nagaland Honorable Minister is here. He might be also knowing that there are some hot reservoirs which can be utilized and which are being utilized now. New projects are coming every day to the Ministry of Power, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy for developing these type of sources. In spite of that, dear friends, let me tell you, we are 1/3 only. Every Northeasterner just consumes 1/3 of 488 kilowatt hour of power in their day-to-day life. Therefore, we are, in a very nutshell, bottom line is that we are still looking for alternatives, clean power, sustained power, quality power. Quality power is a very important thing. My friend Minal might be throwing some light. Just developing huge solar projects doesn't matter. The solar projects coming to the grid, compatibility with grid, also requires a lot of exercise. It's not that you develop some power and you can just feed the grid like that. It takes a lot of interface exercise. So now, starting from this, may I invite, before the panelists, Honorable Minister of Nagaland government, Mr. Kenye, just to give your opening remarks. What do you feel about the energy mix of Northeast, or what as the Power Minister of Nagaland you are doing? Let us start from you for a couple of minutes, and then I can go to the all assigned panelists. You can speak from there. Mr. Kenye.
Respected Chairman, my esteemed members as panelists, learned panelist members, distinguished guests present this morning, officials from the Ministry of Donor, Ministry of Power also, and all the representatives from the different parts of this country, especially from the northeastern region. Today is Sunday. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus. I was not supposed to come, but duty beckons and work is worship. So I'm here with you this morning, despite my humble knowledge of the power sector. As you know, I don't belong to this background of power. It's hardly been a year since I took over this ministry, this department in my state. So I'm still in the process of struggling to learn the basics of power. But it's like going back to school. And over the year, I have had the opportunity to interact with so many of the engineers and technocrats from this field. And a reasonable amount of exposure also in the region as well as the national level. It has contributed to my insight, a better understanding of this area in our country. at the outset, I must put it on record our gratitude to the ministry, donor ministry, for taking initiative of a function, an occasion like this. The Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav is a new initiative, and it focuses on the northeastern region, which has been, I must say, neglected ever since independent India. Most of the states there have joined the nation only in the third 5-year plans of the nation. So we are lagging behind in the 2 or 3 5-year plans, lagging behind the nation from the mainland. So as it is, Chairman have already thrown light on the situation of this region, that we are far from the mainland, and communication stands as a big challenge till today.
So our corridor is only through the Siliguri Chicken Neck, which is very narrow. Accessibility is very poor, and till today we are not able to have the proper
communication infrastructures in the region. Besides this, we are more or less a landlocked region with the most foreign countries as neighbors in this nation. Our northeastern states are surrounded by five countries foreign to us. So we have this problem of accessibility and communication also. Our only en route to the world is through Assam and West Bengal. So it gives us a very limited access. Now when, about 2 decades back, we thank our late Prime Minister, Mr. Vajpayee, who in his visionary plan has brought out the Department of Donor first, and over the years it has grown into a full-fledged ministry. And we are glad to know that today the ministry is coming closer to the land, the people, and taking initiatives to understand the problems of that region more accurately. So here, despite everything, I often say, next to water and oxygen, in today's world, power is what matters in our life. In this century, everything starts from the smallest gadget to the biggest factors surrounding our lives is based on power. So there's no other more important area than this. And as has been said, we have high potentials in these regions, especially in hydro, which have not been tapped. So ministry, donor had not taken any much interest, focused particularly in this field earlier. Today, with this morning's session focusing on this area, we hope it will accelerate the growth of power, as you have rightly put it, a mixed and integrated form of producing power, solar, the wind, and hydro sectors, and whatever is possible under biomass also. So here, besides Assam, which is largely plain, the rest of the northeastern states are hilly and are terraneous. with a very hostile topography, which just before our entry here, we were over a cup of tea discussing, but we embarked on the important topic of rooftop solars and also the a floating solar. So we have very few plain barren lands. Whatever plains are available are used for agricultural purposes. Now it may not be right for us to deprive our marginal farmers and snatch away those portions of plain lands from them to convert it for electricity production. So if floating solar can be emphasized, I think that is going to go a long way in solving a lot of problems for us. In the hilly, terraneous parts, it is not feasible. So whatever catchment areas we may have, the natural lakes or the artificial lakes, whatever areas we may have, it would be good if donor can initiate floating solar projects in the states there, and also put it forward to the Ministry of NRE and Ministry of Power that these sectors should be emphasized. Besides that, certainly in hydro, when I looked at the statistics at the records, besides one Ponglefo, 1 megawatt Ponglefo mini hydro in the state, that's a good 25 years back, the Ministry of Donor has not ever initiated any hydropowers in our state. So this time around, we have put forward 2 projects. One is Razai, and about 4 megawatts, and the other is also Zina, which is about 1.5 megawatts, very small mini hydro projects for consideration under NICIT. So we hope and pray that this will be taken up, and initiations will start from here, looking forward to larger areas. We are also very, very short of power because, as outlined by the ministry, 2030, 2032, we have to catch up with the target of the nation. And our state especially is lacking behind. We have potential of more than 1,000 to 2,000 megawatts, of which only about 100, not even 5% is tapped in the potential area. So here we have set a target that we should reach at least 500, about 500 megawatts by this 2030. And transmission is not in place, for which we have asked the ministry and the CEA also to take up certain cases. And in the hydro sector especially, we have put forward under the 16th Finance Commission also, and also we will be availing the new Ministry of Powers policy for the equity of 7624, which we hope donor will again help us to avail all these subsidies, funding under ministry. And donor would also do on his own for us. I thank you very much again for giving us this platform, this opportunity, and we hope we will collaborate better in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, Mr. Kenny, for giving some picture of your state. But let me tell you, dear friends, it's not only Nagaland. Basically, all states more or less are in the same condition. Resources are there, funding is not there. Resources are there, infrastructure is not there. Sometimes that will come later on when our friend from NHPC will speak here. To start the ball rolling, this was sort of an inaugural speech by the Honorable Minister. But now I come to the actual panelists with whom I have had some earlier coordination and communication. Let us start from a very general question. Everyone says this northeastern India could be a storehouse. In spite of having oil and natural gas or coal, it is having a lot of renewable sources. Let me start from our friend Professor Borua, Deben Borua, Professor of Energy Studies in Tezpur Central University. My question is, we can all speak from there. Yes, we can speak from there. My request to all the panelists is, I want to have in 1 hour, two rounds with you, opening round and the closing round. Please restrict to 4 to 5 minutes for every question. My question to Professor Borua is, do we have sufficient renewable energy resources in Ashtalakshmi states to support national mandates or national missions? That's the question.
Thank you. If we ask whether we have sufficient resources, the first requirement is that how much we need. Then we can have mainly your estimate to understand the requirement, need, and when the need, on which basis. Again, there may be many landmarks to understand your target date. What is current situation? If we see these Ashtalakshmi states, except Sikkim, all the states are using the current level of electricity. I am coming to the electricity. Other resources also same, energy resources, or very less, as rightly says, 1/3 or even less than that in some of the states. It varies. Around 200, 300, or 400 per capita, per annum is the current consumption of electricity as per central electricity your department is concerned, data is concerned. And then that is slightly marginally increased during these last 10 years, but not dramatically except the Sikkim. Maybe the hydropower project they have there, they could mobilize. And then how much we need? We may have different targets. First target is that we have the ambitious smart city, your ambitions that some cities should be smart city. Worldwide, if we make a survey, the smart city requirement of electricity goes around 7,000 to 12,000 unit of electricity per person per annum. Whereas we at Northeast consuming 200, 300, 400 units of electricity. Understand that. And then what should be the reasonably requirement, for reasonable standard of living, how much is required? Professor S.P. Sukatme from IIT Bombay has made a very reasonable assessment for that. It may vary from different things, but a reasonable standard of living, a civilized person requires around 1,840 units of electricity to take care of the different requirements, including the support from the manufacturing industry, local manufacturing industry, agriculture, transport, your household electricity requirements. So that means around 2,000 we could say. Also, this is being substantiated from the worldwide data of the Human Development Index. Human Development Index of around 0.8 to 0.9 demanded that around minimum 2,000 electricity is required. Now understand the development of the Northeast. The people of Northeast, even that is also there in some other states of India, but Northeast chronically deficient in agriculture, in energy use. So with that, anything of development, we say the digital Bharat, we say development Bharat, we say industrialized Bharat, will not be possible here. So we need to generate electricity. So don't we have resources, then we can come here. We made a realistic assessment to understand the resources. Another compulsion is here is that though we have enough coal resources, though sulfur mixed coal resources, but clean coal technology will give us also part to generate electricity from coal. But net zero ambitions that already we have committed to this world, your international bodies will not be relying on coal. The gas we have, but again the short-lived. Then hydro, yes, we have enough hydro. Maybe the appropriate data that is required for planning a hydro, 100 years or 200 years or 300 years of rainfall data on the catchment is also limiting, and that may also limit us to go excessively or going for the hydro. We can go, that we have already gone, our friend from NHPC will give us a highlight on that thing. So we made the assessment. Solar, as rightly my friend will tell, the decentralized solar could be a solution to support substantial portions. In all the states should have different targets, different strategy, and all the states, solar could be a solution, provided we can take the smart technology of understanding for the forecast, because solar has other limitations, climate limitations, day-hour limitations, all the things, but we can make it. Already the EV is coming in a big way. The solar, if we could plan properly, not that way that we are doing now solar, we should go the smart technology to understand the forecast and accordingly generate it, and manage to use this production use. Whatever around 7.5 gigawatt of power plant that we have here, And then our requirement is around 24 gigawatt. So could you get to take care of this 2000 minimum requirement for our, not smart city requirement, minimum requirement for a regional standard of living. So this 24 gigawatt will come from different sources. It would come from the hydro measure, solar, second measure. It would come from this coal and gas also we cannot rely because we'll have to rely them up to 2047, the Viksit Bharat goal we have assessed. And then wind also see few pockets seasonal, could be in a hybrid mode, not independent mode. Wind, hydro, and solar would be a very good combination of hybridizations. And then this artificial intelligence data source, IoT will give us your opportunity to take care of the utilizations. Only generations that we are doing. We are telling that 7.5 gigawatt we have. What is the load factor? Load factor is terribly less than that our national average. What is that? We generate whatever the minimum we are generating, that also we are utilizing. So if that scenario is doing, and then 24, just 1 minute I'll take.
No, my question was, do you think that we have sufficient renewable energy resource in the Ashtalakshmi states?
We have solar, we have your biomass. Biomass also we'll have to take care of that part. Biomass from the crop residue, at present it is not utilized or not optimally utilized or very poorly utilized or utilized.
Okay.
But that thing, biomass, will give us around 10 to 20% of support, and hybrid mode. Solar, it will give maximum support. Small hydro you cannot ignore because without any controversy you can go at up to your picowatt level of generations from the decentralized isolate pockets of those fragile hilly people, different level of hydro, small hydro, pico hydro, and then biomass, wind. That mixers could give maximum of 50 to 60% of the total put-out energy.
We'll come to you. We'll come to you again, sir, please.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Time is restricted. This is automatically going to stop.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Now, you have spoken about gas, availability of gas. We have a person who is now here, CEO of Northeast Gas Distribution Company Limited, Mr. S.K. Borua. Mr. Borua, my question to you is, availability of natural gas in Northeast India and connecting Ashtalakshmi states to the national grid. This is a very key question. Only availability is not sufficient. You have to have also connection with the national grid. Your opinion, please.
Thank you. Just wanted to share this with all of you. The Northeast actually is changing, sir. So I will slightly differ with our Honorable Minister. It is no more not connected. We are fully connected. The gas grid is completely there, is coming up to all the state capitals of the Northeast, all the 8 state capitals, starting from Gangtok to Aizawl. That is number one. Number two is Northeast India is now producing more gases. We are our oil companies which are there, whether it is ONGC Oil India or HOEC and others, the private companies, Vedanta, they are mostly finding gas. So today, from the present stage of around 13 million standard cubic meter of gas per day, which oil and others ONGC produce, is going to be around 17 million standard cubic meter. So the gas production is going up per se. So that's the fossil fuel which is coming up, and that's good. That is one thing. And second thing is getting connected. When I was talking about getting connected, there is a catch here, which you all need to understand. Gas is allocated by Government of India, and the first priority goes to CNG and domestic. So, and there's a shortage of that in the country as a whole. So that means that the gas that is produced in Assam may or Northeast may come out because there's a shortage. We are importing gas. On the other hand, the whole of Northeast, as I was telling, whether it is in Aizawl or it is in Agartala, the pipelines are being connected. It is only a question of 1 year or so where you can bring the LNG gas from Qatar and come to Dahej or come to Ennore in Kerala and can get connected and go all the way up to Aizawl or all the way up to Itanagar. So that's the situation that's happening in Northeast. It is no more that it is not disconnected. All the Ashtalakshmi states, that's the theme of this session today, will be connected by natural gas. You will have natural gas in your kitchens. You will have CNG in your vehicles. So that's the situation.
Thank you, Mr. Borua, for being very brief and to the point. We have got Executive Director of NEPCO, Northeast Electrical Power Corporation, Mr. Adhikari. My question, again, is a basic question before going into detail. Is there any likelihood of unserved energy for the Ashtalakshmi states? Unserved energy. Considering existing and planned generation capacity up to the year 2030.
Good morning to all. To answer to that question, I go by the resource adequacy study of the Ministry of Power that was published last year in 2023 June. This resource adequacy study for all the states of India, that was all the states of India, that was done by Central Electricity Authority. That study was primarily done to see that the existing and planned capacity of energy generation for each and every state, and in the long term, say for the future 7 to 10 years, what will be the expected situation? There may be two situations. One is energy not served situation, and one is the generation getting bottled up. So, particularly for the northeastern states, in that study, we have seen that other than Arunachal Pradesh, all the other states in next 7 years, the unserved energy situation is going very, very high. From 2026 onwards, it is sharply increasing. And up to the year 2030, there is a position that for each and every state, a prescription has been given that what are the probable source. I can tell you that for all the states of Northeast, it is given, primarily for Assam, it is given that the future source will be even from coal. So, a generation from coal, that is also prescribed. But here, even the gas generation, which is presently being done in Northeast, because the gas capacity of whole India is approximately generation capacity around 24,000. This 24,000 odd megawatt, the PLF is very, very low. It is abysmally low at the rate of 9 to 11%. That means the primary fuel is not available. But it is unlike Northeast. Northeastern states, the gas generation capacity is almost 1,800 megawatt, and the PLF is as high as nearly 80%. So the gas is available for the Northeastern states. So the unserved situation, that should be taken care of for each and every state that is given. For Assam, it is from coal, from solar, and from hydro. Thank you.
Thank you. Now this brings me to the question. My initial remarks were that we have been taught in the classroom, and we are teaching also in the classroom, that India's Northeast is the powerhouse of hydropower, hydroelectricity, right? And one company, National Hydropower Corporation, with the CMD with us, Rajkumar Chaudhary, and they're finding it difficult to get to the Lower Subansiri project, 2,000 megawatt ambitious project for last 10, 12 years. It's on the pipeline. Today morning during coffee in the room, he told me that by 2025 beginning, they will start commissioning 3 units of that, 250 megawatt into 3 units. So all people of the Northeast and Assam are looking towards that Lower Subansiri project. But why it is stuck up? What is the problem? Because only giving statistics about what we have is not sufficient. What we have is okay, but why we are not utilizing it, what are the social problems, issues, that's also equally important. So Mr. Chaudhary, please.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Yes, Subansiri Lower 2000 megawatt, one of the most prestigious projects of the country, the largest under construction project in the country. The project started almost 2002. So earlier it was with Brahmaputra board, DPR was prepared by the Brahmaputra board. In 2002 it was transferred to the NHPC, and NHPC started. So initially there was some court case, and once the court case was over, so in late 2003, 2004, the construction works were started. Unfortunately, that project, because a lot of apprehensions were there in the mind of the people, were there in the mind of the environmentalists, and the project was halted, construction was halted for more than 8 years. 8 continuous years there was no construction, and because of that, otherwise we were talking that the project was supposed to be commissioned in 2014 or 15. So then because of that, the project seen lot of challenges. The diversion tunnel, which is a temporary structure, so generally diversion structure is designed for a period of 5, 6 years, 7 years for the diversion of the river. The 8 continuous years, the construction work were stopped and the water was flowing through the diversion tunnel. So ultimately when the construction works were again restarted in 2019, the diversion tunnel failed. Because of the failure of the diversion tunnel, the hill slope slided. And because of that, we have faced a lot of challenges. But we, the hydro engineers, are capable to find out the solution of such geological and other construction challenges. And now, as our chairman informed, that we are confident that we are going to commission the 3 units in March next year, and the rest 5 units one by one up to the May 26. So that is going to be a big boost. The hydro professionals were very keen, and they are still keen to see the success of the Subansiri Lower. The success of Subansiri Lower will write the future of the upcoming hydro projects in the northeastern region, especially in Arunachal Pradesh. I will tell you, sir, presently the many hydro projects are under construction, and out of that 96% of the under construction hydro projects in the northeastern state, the Ashtalakshmi. So the NHPC is involved in construction of the more than 96% of the under construction project. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, we have Mr. Mrinal Chaudhary, very passionate about renewable energy, worked on various platforms, former director of Assam Energy Development Agency. Mrinal, I want to ask you, what is the distributed renewable energy plan for uplifting socio-economic status of northeastern region, especially rural sector, to achieve energy security? I've been telling you since the beginning that having energy is not sufficient. It should be quality, and it should also be affordable for people, and it should also be transmittable to the people. Sometimes we hear a very interesting fact. India is this time food surplus. So some people, they ask, if we are food surplus, why there is poverty, why there is famine? Public distribution system is not in place. Therefore, in spite of that,
millions of tons of food grains are just rotten inside the FCI godowns. Similar situation might arrive. You have lots of power, but you can't give the power to people, or people cannot buy it, and we remain wherever we were. So, Mrinal, as I told you in my opening remarks, we are classmates. We did our higher secondary onwards engineering education together. Please throw your light on this socio-economic aspect of the sector, especially with rural background.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my good friend Arup. This has been a very interesting panel discussing the different facades of energy generation, distribution, and utilization. Basically, as Dr. Barua has already harped upon the issue of the potential of renewable energy for sufficing the northeastern states. And particularly what the chairman was asking me with regard to decentralized energy utilization. Basically, when we mean decentralized energy generation, we particularly highlight on use of energy resources which are available at the location or the spot where it is being utilized. Say for instance, solar energy, it can be utilized at the specific point of generation. We put up a solar panel, we have a utility, we have the equipment or the gadget, and we use it over there. And that is the beauty of decentralized energy generation. Different aspects come under decentralized energy generation. Particularly, very recently, it was very much highlighted on the use of rooftop solar projects under the PM Surya Ghar scheme. This scheme has been implemented throughout the country, almost about, say, more than 6 years hence. And we had been utilizing power generation, putting up solar panels on the rooftop, and trying to supplement the use of conventional power through use of solar panels or through the use of solar energy. Say, for instance, for a conventional power generation unit, you have to put up a megawatt power plant, and to bring that power to our own residence or to the point of utilization, you have to have a grid. But in the case of decentralized energy, you generate there itself, and the beauty of these rooftop solar application, which is in the decentralized form, is that we try to compensate or supplement the use of our conventional energy first through solar energy. Then if there is a shortfall, we get that additional power from the grid. And particularly in the northeastern region, putting up megawatts of solar power installation, from my personal viewpoint, should not be that much encouraged, because it can be supplemented through use of decentralized power, might be to each and every household. For instance, in each and every household has a small solar plant which can generate power for themselves. That can solve the problem of energy crisis to a very great extent. And in particularly northeastern region, and in fact you have also, if in case you have visited the exhibition, you have seen there are a lot of potential for rural livelihood. And each and every aspect of these rural livelihood might need power, but not to a very big extent. Small setups in a rural setup, in the rural villages, they need power of a very small capacity, which can be easily supplemented through the use of solar energy or other decentralized energy. And in that aspect, there is a huge scope of upscaling rural livelihood, upscaling the rural economy through use of these decentralized solar energy or decentralized renewable energy, which can contribute to a large extent in cutting down requirement of the conventional energy from the grid, or might be conventional energy from the megawatt scale solar power itself. That's my take.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's wonderfully put, very simple for young people to understand. Small is beautiful, a very famous book of Ernest Schumacher. I always refer to it, but also with the industrialization happening in Northeast now, especially Assam, a lot of industries coming, maybe sometimes we have to look beyond the individual household also, right? So his opinion he has given with his long experience. Now we have got someone, not from the Northeast, but who knows about Northeast, and he is Arun Mahesh Babu, the Managing Director of Gujarat Power Corporation Limited. Rest all speakers are working in the Northeast. He is the only one, and therefore his comments are very important. Mr. Babu, I want to ask you how to improve power situation in Northeast and how to reduce the losses, which is very high in Northeast, approximately 30% power loss. His experiences in Gujarat and how maybe, although two different geographies, but certain things can be replicated, right? Yeah. Please.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to the ministry for inviting me here. So if you say that I'm the only person who doesn't belong to this or a misfit, I would just try to make you understand that I worked in this ministry 10 years back. So thanks to the Government of India scheme, I was the Assistant Secretary in Ministry of Donna which
Okay.
was, I think, way back in
So-
2012.
So I take back my comments. You are known to Northeast.
Yeah. We have visited Northeast at least twice or thrice during my tenure.
Bharat Darshan, yeah.
No, not after Bharat Darshan. During our Western Secretaryship, I was posted for 6 months. Yeah. So we were used to NHDC and Neramac and all that. Yeah. So thank you for inviting me here, and thanks to the ministry. When I did get an invitation, the first question that was asked to me was, we have power, and how do you reduce the losses? Because the northeastern sector, the landscape is, the terrain is really, really difficult. I'll just take a little 1 minute to explain how it has been done the other way around. So I come from the western part of India right now, and we are talking about the eastern part of India. Two different terrains, two different energy mixes, but we can work together. That is one thing which I wanted to say. When the Honorable Prime Minister talks about a vision called the One Nation, One Grid, you all know that India is connected through the C2IL grid and the national grid, which connects each and every state and each and every nook and corner of the country. So what most of the Northeast does is you do generate a lot of hydropower, but you also buy a lot of power from other coal-rich states or energy-producing states. So the power is not just coming from within Northeast, it's coming from the rest of India. What Gujarat has been doing is we have become slowly we are becoming a power surplus state. So when I'm also managing the world's largest solar park, which is getting built, that is 30,000 megawatts of solar energy that is coming up very soon. That's in a place called Khavda. It's on the western border along the Indo-Pak border. And there are tie-ups where we are thinking of exporting power from Gujarat. So when a lot of renewable energy gets produced, there is also a requirement for storage. So one area where, apart from NHPC producing hydropower in the Northeast, is what Northeast can look at is as an energy sink for a storage. So probably if Ministry of Donor can also get into, along with the tie-up with Northeast, you can use it as a revenue model for storing the excess renewable energy as a sink in pump storage. So which is one topic which we have not discussed here. The future is pump storage policy with PSP, which can always be utilized in the Northeast because you have a upper head and lower head in all the places. So that is one solution which we can give for using the excess power that is coming. Second is, I was talking to the Honorable Minister. Another scheme is the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which is a solar rooftop scheme. Gujarat works in a different way. There are a lot of people who's doing business. So we account for 82% of the country's solar rooftop scheme. So if you land on a flight in Ahmedabad or any of the cities, it'll have a lot of reflection light coming from the ground. So one way to empower the citizen, so that is what you're telling, how do you give quality power to the people, is go for a solar rooftop scheme. And I'm sure the radiation is also equally good. That is decentralized empowerment of the citizen. I think if Ministry of Donor can, or the Ministry of Power can intervene to give a little bit of more subsidy to the scheme which is already announced, because we have 30,000 subsidy for 1 kilowatt. Even if you go for an average 1 kilowatt rooftop at every citizen's home, so the daytime power is taken care and it can be subsidized. You are enriching or empowering the citizen out there. The third is for the distribution companies or the power generating companies. It has three different ways of getting over the power losses. One is the generation side, which of course I'm sure there's taking care. The transmission losses will also be high, which is approximately at national average of 4 to 5%. In the Northeast, it must be even higher because the hill ranges are far off, and each tower, which is the 220 tower or the 33 kV tower, is away from each hill to each other. So if you can reduce the length of those transmission lines by increasing the number of towers, you can reduce the transmission losses, which we have done. And if you're talking about the distribution losses, it is at 3 different levels. One is the technical losses, one is the commercial losses, and one is at the collection losses. If I can take 30 seconds more, I'll just tell that you have to go for reconductoring of your existing cables. So the core conductors which you have, you must be having a lot of theft also happening, because people sitting in each village or hamlet must be used to taking off electricity. I would say that the DISCOM should go for armored conductors. They should go for medium voltage coated conductors so that the theft is stopped. And also the government of India has also come up with the smart metering scheme. It is learned that Assam and Bihar, states like these, have reduced their losses from say 30% to about 5 to 6%, spearheading the smart meter distribution scheme. So if you can get the smart meter installed as quickly as possible, if not in prepaid initially, but at the postpaid, the citizens will slowly get used to paying those bills. And that is one thing you see. And in the Northeast specifically, your distribution transformers are also placed away from the load centers. Suppose there is a village which is having a huge load, your distribution transformers are much away. So that needs to be reworked, and I think you need to totally reconfigure the network diagram. Probably a little bit of research study might help, and you need to get it, because Gujarat, way back in 2005 or 2002, we had 30% of T&D losses. Today we are the lowest in the country with 7% of transmission and distribution losses. And our discoms are all profit-making distribution companies. So you need to strengthen your network, you need to improve your, you need to decrease your commercial losses, and you need to empower your citizens. I think those are three different solutions. Doesn't happen in a single day, but it would take about a year or two. But I mean, and the ultimate part is use Northeast as a revenue model also, in addition to what you are thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So you have given indeed very pragmatic and practical solutions. Very systematically, the only thing is that our respective governments and the power producers, distributors have to take things in a very serious way. Coming back to our first panelist, whom I started with, Professor Borua, this is, if you think that we have, as Mr. S.K. Borua has mentioned, that now there will be enough gas. It will be in the national grid, and then gas is not going to be a problem. Already 2 companies are laying down their pipelines, and all those 14.2 kg Indian gas cylinder will be thing of the past. We'll have piped gas in our homes. Do you think that for diversifying the energy mix and for power generation and transmission, natural gas will still be playing a critical role in Northeast? I request you to be very brief, but specifically natural gas, you know, that how it is going to be critical.
Yeah, natural gas, as these resources is also efficient or has less impact compared to coal, and then we have, as availability will be not an issue, definitely, but we understand that if we go for also incorporating the hybrid mode, rather than relying on a single resources, that will give more benefit. Natural gas is obviously one, because technology is there, and then understanding the technological status, and then developing the indigenous technology, taking care of this local R&D, and then so that we can also take care of this employment issue and then other developmental issue will also be your requirement here. And in that matter, as you say, that we'll be requiring around, if we consider electricity, 24 gigawatt of installed capacity will be required to take care of this, as I already said, minimum requirement per capita, with that populations around 2047 populations, because populations will increase, and then requirement are varying across the different states, so there should be a different policy or different programs among different states. However, there must be an integrated cooperations, so that we can take care the requirements for different states. For example, festive seasons in Assam is differs that festive seasons in Meghalaya. If we take care the requirement of these 2 festive seasons and make an energy plan accordingly, and then requirement will be take care, and then we can share the resources. After taking care of this, our domestic requirement, and taking care of this even the domestic national requirements, also we can take care and as an opportunity to share your electricity or maybe their resources with Myanmar, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal. Already we are doing with some of them. We can that their development also take care, and then we can also be a power hub. So that should be a Southeast Asia power pool or power hub. Taking care of the technology, taking care of this natural gas is only one, but natural gas may not be the singly taken out resources, as we said, hydro. And if we take a hybrid renewable, new hybrid renewable, and smartness is incorporated, I hope that the northeastern regions problem will be taken care. And then as semiconductor industry is coming, and then future power industry will be relying on the semiconductors. So there should be a manufacturing hub of those power equipments, rather than relying on this export, your quality export type of technology. So this is my humble submission.
Okay, okay. It's very well taken care of, because I precisely wanted this type of that only natural gas is not the solution. Wherever applicable, we have to also go for other sources. And as I mentioned earlier, Northeastern region is no longer a no industry type of area. It is coming up in a big way. At least from my state, being the head of the Pollution Control Board of Assam, I can tell you that every week we are getting new projects, proposals. Already 11 ethanol plant for making ethanol mixing for petrol, which is a mandate of Government of India by next year, and we have to have 20% of ethanol in the mix on petrol. So earlier the story started with diesel, now it is a ethanol plant, and then it's coming in a big way. So we must keep that. Besides this, 45 million people of northeastern India being given decent power, decent livelihood, life of dignity, we also have to look at the other sectors. Now recently, Hotel Taj Vivanda invited me to inaugurate their EV charging station. So after the cutting of ribbon, I asked them, the general manager, what is your source of power? And he says the grid power. So I said, you buy for 9-10 rupees electrical power, and the vehicle goes for 200-300 kilometers after charging fully, we are back to square one. Every kilowatt of power generated basically means like 1 kg of carbon dioxide emission. So you are back to square one. Then he says, what else is there? I said, you can put up some renewable plant. You have so much of land on the backside of the hotel. Why don't you put some solar plants from where you can take the power and then you can make the EV station? It's the same thing. Huh? From fossil fuel, you take the power for charging station and the vehicle runs on electric mode and you say the road is clean, but somewhere we have to pay the price. Pollution has no boundaries. If you do something in Dibrugarh, it can affect Guwahati also. So like that, my next question is to Mr. Adhikari. Suppose, Mr. Adhikari, we complete the national gas grid. Would there be any impact on the generation availability of the Astalakshmi states? This is a question I would like to ask. Especially, likely injection of gas from localized gas fields. There is a wrong policy going on, and in that context, what is your take? Is it going to impact generation of availability for not Assam, but all the Astalakshmi states, 8 states?
To reply to that question, I will break up it into 2 parts. Number 1, I am being slightly obsessive about the resource that we are blessed with. The gas is there. I tell you, from 2021, the gas pricing was in the range of say $2 per MMBTU. Now it is almost $6.5 per MMBTU for power generation. But once the gas grid is completed, since the mainland India, other parts, it's not having that much of resources, most of the gas, because the first priority is for the city gas, so that will be diverted for the city gas distribution. So for energy generation, what will happen? The resource of RLNG that is being used for all other gas plants in the country, the RLNG pricing is in the range of $12 to $15 per MMBTU. It is very, very high. But we are using gas for the power generation in Northeast, and as I told you, the PLF is very, very high. There are very good plants, frame 6 machine, frame 9 machine. For Palatana, it is frame 9 machine, where the heat rate is very, very, it is almost 1700 to 1800 kilocalorie heat rate. So that type of a plant, when we will suffer from gas availability, will really for the Northeast that will be a difficulty, because the second part I am telling you, the country for last 4 or 5 years, almost the installed capacity, 80% of the installed capacity is coming from solar. So we will continue to add solar, maybe up to 2030 we will be adding solar. But with solar, we are adding a lot of other things. Number one, the grid stability thing. Yes. Number two, the
land availability.
The availability of solar is coming up with one thing, that is the fluctuation. So whenever there is a fluctuation, we need storage. So the PSP should come, and the storage of solar power. So for the storage, what we need, ultimately during the solar hours, all the baseload plants, like the coal plants and the gas plants, they come down to the technical minimum. So at the baseload, we are running the plant.
Fossil fuel plants.
Fossil fuel, all the fossil fuel, we can come down to the technical minimum. But at the same time, we have to store all this solar power. Up till 2030, we have to store solar power so that we can use it for the ramping up and ramping down capability during the requirement. So our apprehension for the Northeast, I am being obsessive about Northeast because the gas will be immediately diverted to the mainland gas grid, and we will be hankering for gas.
Thank you, Adhikari Sahab. Mrinal, would the new and innovative ways of renewable energy generation effective for SRSP states? Do you find any problems of upscaling?
In fact, very recently, a number of innovative techniques have been developed in the field of renewable energy. Say, for instance, as already mentioned by Honorable Minister, with regard to floating solar, there's a new concept which is being developed for generating power without using land. These solar panels would be mounted on the surface of water wherever it is possible, and in fact, big dams or big reservoirs are quite ideal for it. This is one concept where it is being conceived, but there needs to be certain policies. How, say, what percentage of the surface area should be covered, whether it would be affecting the ecosystem of the whole reservoir. So these type of aspects. Secondly, another new innovation is on the use of agrivoltaics, putting up solar panels on top of agricultural field a little bit higher so that you can have generation from the top through the solar panels and at the same time use the land for agriculture, might be for certain cash crops, which will be compensating both in generating power, selling it, as well as from the agriculture. But since it is a little bit more expensive than the conventional process, there needs to be certain financial intervention from, might be from the central government or might be through certain financial mechanism. And in fact, very recently, and might be in February, we'll be having one of the biggest investors summit in Northeastern region.
Advantage Assam.
Yeah, Advantage Assam. So by then, if certain policy is being evolved or developed so that investors from outside can be encouraged to put up similar plants without affecting the ecosystem of this region. And in fact, one very important issue which Mr. Adhikari as well as Mr. Babu has just now harped upon is on the issue of storage of renewable energy. Say, excess generation, because excess generation during the daytime might bring instability in the whole network.
Yeah.
So pump storage can take into account of that, say through putting up water on the storage reservoir during the daytime using solar power and at the peak hours using it for our own use. So these type of new concepts or innovative concepts might work to benefit the Northeast as well as the entire country. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mrinal. Now we are talking about the energy mix. Here is a man who has been starting his career from Digboy Refinery, IOC, AOD, and today looking after gas. So basically he has always been in the fossil fuel sector, if you say so. Never in the renewable sector. But still, I would like to ask Mr. S.K. Borua, what would be, according to you, the ideal mix in Northeast? You don't have to have everything, all type of powers sources in a particular place. Charles de Gaulle in the 1960s was heavily criticized in France when he was the president of France, that why are we going for nuclear power plant? Today, France is having 60% of their energy met from nuclear power. Similar stories are there many places, many countries. Wherever you are strong, you have to have it. Not that you want to have a garden full of all the flowers. The Northeast being the powerhouse of hydropower, Northeast having a lot of solar insolation in the high areas, Assam plain, okay, but other 6-7 states are hilly areas. So, Mr. Borua, what you do think very briefly? I want to keep this 14 minutes time available to us for last 5 minutes for question answer before they will wind up. So, energy mix, best energy mix for us.
Thank you. No, we heard a lot about energy mix from these experts here. I'm not an expert in power. But yes, natural gas definitely is some sort of a bridge fuel, which you say, and you need to, but you can't afford a natural gas plant now. Plants are, because the cost is very high, the cost of natural gas itself is very high, so it's not viable to set up a power plant per se on the face of it. But coming back to Northeast, as we are saying, since we have gas, there are ways of using gas, as Mr. Mahesh Babu was talking about. Gujarat is one place which is heavily using gas, and these plants are very, very gas intensive. If you visit cities, like I keep on going to Gujarat because we buy everything from Gujarat only, Gujarat and Maharashtra. They are mostly supplied by companies like GSPC and all. But what I am telling Mahesh Babu sir, now that this gas line is connected to all the states, all the state capitals of Northeast, you can set up a similar kind of plant, say producing, say tiles, ceramics, which require huge kind of energy. Even in Arunachal, even in Itanagar, because that's the only thing is that the price will be playing a factor here, because we will be sourcing this gas from outside, or maybe there will be a transportation cost, but that again is not very high after the uniform tariff policy which has come in place. So even if you bring gas from Hazira and if you give gas from Duliajan, there will be difference of only around 80 rupees. So that's all, but you can set up high energy intensive plants in any corners of Northeast today, which requires gas. So for power per se, I am not very sure whether we can set up anymore. I know some plants are still suffering. We have NIPCO's plant, OTPC in Tripura, which are not getting enough gas there, and gas is being taken out. So for transition, for a bridge fuel, gas is fine, but for power generation, and also these are unique things of having decentralized solar in each household, rooftop solar. This is actually a big good initiative to have that instead of having a large solar plant occupying a lot of areas. Assam, as our Northeast as such, is very, very fertile land. You don't get wasteland there to set up solar plants. So primarily what I'm only trying to say is that natural gas is coming in a big way in Northeast. We only need to utilize this potential. We can see a lot of young people here. We are coming up. I face every day a lot of startups coming up there, trying to do new industries there. That is a steel plant, or even pharma, or even ceramics and all those. There are tiles, plants coming up now near Guwahati. So things will come up. So there are a lot of things to look forward to Ashtalakshmi India. Thank you.
So you have understood that Mr. Borua has been advocating about the best utilization of natural gas, basically. And the gentleman sitting next to him, Mr. Rajkumar Chaudhary, he is a hydroman. So your last comments, that how much faith and trust people will have in the hydel projects, especially big hydel projects, because that is one of the most major fears. It was discussed at the time when we went to Gerukamukh to see the plant. Local people were saying, sir, you people are from Assam. You could have told NHPC during the gestation period itself that why not have 10 cascading dams of 200 megawatt each to make 2,000. Cascading dam. Why they are going for a single dam for having 2,000 megawatt? It's a fragile region. We're in the borders of Arunachal, Assam. Soil is very young. Himalayas, in eastern Himalayas, is just 1 million years old. Just 1 million years. Dear friends, in geological terms, 1 million is a very young mountain range. Not like your Gondwana belt in South India, where you can't dig the earth easily. So, in that context, Mr. Chaudhary, your final comments in 2 minutes. What is your take on this hydropower?
I will tell you that the large hydro projects, sir, it must be wherever, because hydro projects are site specific. So wherever the site is there only hydro projects can be constructed. So if we have we are blessed with some large hydro project potential, we must develop it. You see the China. So sir, in the Tibet region at Great Bend, they are developing the Motok Dam, 60,000 megawatt one project, sir. They have developed 22,500 megawatt one project, 3 gorges. Sir, we must develop, and we are taking all precautions, every aspect in the design of the dam, all seismic aspects, all adverse forces we account for the design of the dam. So, the success of Suvansi Lower or the Diwang multipurpose project or any upcoming project will restore the faith and support of the people of the region. And apart from that, we are also doing the downstream protection works. The success of the downstream protection works, that is restoring the faith of the people of the region.
Thank you for being very brave. The last comments from Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu. And also request that you again come back to Northeast to work there. Gujarat is already very developed. You don't need a lot of Babus in Gujarat. Now you can come to Northeast to work there. Please.
Thank you for this kind and warm gesture invitation. I think the only way ahead, it cannot be a one-fit-all solution for the entire Northeast. Although the Ashtalakshmi sisters are 7, we need to have solution for each different state based on the terrain, based on the consumer pattern, and based on the people's mindset also. So if you allow, I mean, we have also got the additional secretary from Ministry of Power, Shrikant sir is here.
Okay.
So and sir is sincerely noting down. So it's my humble request that, if...
That's the whole objective of having this type of session in the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav.
And
not just for, showing that how much we know and how much we do not know, but also some outcome, some takeaway points. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and if Donner as a pivotal organization can take it up, I would just suggest from the kind of success stories that has happened internationally and nationally and locally, if you can have 3 different mixes. One I could suggest is for states like Honorable Minister is here, states like Nagaland or Manipur or Mizoram, where the terrain is extremely steep, or you have hamlets or of people staying together. The solar rooftop scheme could be supplemented by some kind of incentives or subsidies or local CSR activities by the major companies. You have ONGC, you have Indian Oil, you have major producers in Assam. So if they can do some kind of CSR activity and handhold the 20% remaining part of the subsidy, I think we can really come up with...
That's a very, very valid point. Nobody has touched earlier. CSR activities,
with rooftops.
It has to be there.
Yeah, what we are doing in Gujarat is for certain hamlets where the people can't afford, we are involving ONGC and Indian Oil to supplement those subsidy part. So that can be taken up. Second, for states like Assam, which has more of a flat land,
flat terrain,
there you also having the semiconductor industry coming, which needs 24/7 uninterrupted power.
Yes.
So for those places where you need a strong grid stability and probably you need to prevent the losses. And if you want to empower the citizens and bring up a huge economic upliftment, renewable energy plants can be taken up by major corporations. Like there are multiple of corporations who are doing renewable energy plants where you have flat farmlands. Third, for a state like Sikkim, where you have a lot of passes like Gangtok, Gardungla and all those passes, where there is a wind potential, and the studies already say that there is about 23 gigawatt of wind potential there.
It is there.
It has to be tapped in. We need to come up with WTGs, that is wind turbines, say 30-40 meter high wind turbines. We have short wind turbines also, which can leverage that wind potential in those zones. Although the PLF, plant load factor, may be say 30%, but yes, there is a lot of potential which is untapped. It can also add to the renewable energy potential of the state of Sikkim. The fourth, for states like the lower lands of Tripura, where they do farming based on the pumps also. You can bring in solar pumps. You can bring in solar pumps. You can also bring in, there is a scheme called Kusum B component. Kusum B, where the pumps are attached to solar and it can be used in all those tribal pockets where people can't reach out to the grid and there is no direct power coming there. One of those options which we also want to reiterate is agri-photovoltaics. It's a very latest technology. Instead of just renewable energy plants or solar plants, the farmers can be given a little bit of subsidy from, I don't know, which is the organization, probably NEHU can take up such kind of research activity initially and find out potential customers so that within their farmlands of say 1 acre or half an acre, they can come up with agri-photovoltaic systems where they can do agriculture, not lose their land as well as produce local
It's a win-win situation for both.
Electricity for themselves and also combined with the solar rooftop for their residential purposes. And the fifth one, the untapped source. We are repeatedly, I'm telling you, PSP, the excess energy that is going to come into the grid, because we're talking about, we've already done 200 gigawatts of renewable energy in the country. We're talking about achieving 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by the year 2030. Entire India is going to come up with huge amounts of solar energy. So that is going to destabilize the grid. So we need to come up with storage solutions, and Northeast is naturally blessed with such a hilly terrain, reservoirs. We need to tap into that and use those as carbon sinks, as PSP potential sites. So the excess renewable energy gets stored there. We use that energy in the night to factor in our loads. And what our gentleman, Barua sir, like was telling from reduce the gas supply, we've already committed on the NDCs. We've already committed to the Paris Agreement.
Yes.
We've already committed to the COP29 where we've already agreed that we are going to reduce our carbon footprints. So I think we need to slowly move away from the fossil fuel stuff. So I think Northeast can play a very major role. The only thing is, please change the mindset. We need to be very, very forthwilling. And I think a collective attitude by all the 7 sisters and the government of India can make a huge difference in the northeastern states. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I planned for 5 minutes, but we have 2.5 minutes now. We are losing 150 seconds, not much. Who is Sakibur Rahman? Sakibur Rahman, PhD scholar from JNU. Oh, you were there. This question is to R.K. Chaudhary. R.K. Chaudhary, your question is that evidence is now coming that environmental and social costs are also involved with hydropower development, although we call hydropower renewable. So it could be labeled as a new fossil fuel. Keeping these in mind, how the prioritization of hydropower development as a renewable energy can be made. Already I think he has answered this question. Slope stabilization, working on the different areas. For lower Subansiri, I can tell you, they are going for 30 kilometers of plantation on the banks of the river and also using geobanks, etc. for slope stabilization. Things are happening. This is what just now Arun Mahesh Babu had mentioned. We have to change our mindset. You studying in a very top university in the country, JNU, you have to guide the people of Assam, tell your friends and other people that we need energy and we need energy from whatever is gifted to us by the Almighty. Maximum utilization. Right? You can't have a nuclear power plant in Assam, na? We talk about nuclear power plant and India is going in a very big way. I'm telling you, last week we had the India International Science Festival for 4 days in Guwahati IIT. I was chairing a session on nuclear energy. People from Bark and Bhabha, all these places were there. And India is going in a very big way. Now 23 reactors are there for generating this nuclear power, something like 840 megawatt right now. But our plan is going for gigawatts in next couple of years. Small amount of energy, fission, fusion will be giving you huge amount of thing. And India's record is impeccable. Dear friends, India's record is impeccable. You had Chernobyl, USSR. You had Fukushima, Japan. You had other things. Only 3 small incidents took place in India till now. Kaiga, Kalpakkam and Kakrapar. All 3 Ks. All 3 Ks. Small amount of leak. Not a single person died. International community said this is level 1 of accident. Level 5 was Chernobyl and Fukushima. So our record is very good at nuclear power. And whatever, wherever is applicable should be done. Only nuclear power, you need coastline, you need a lot of water coal and etc. So maybe in Northeast we don't talk about that. Meghalaya has got the second largest reserve of uranium. Because of various reasons, it could not be mined at that time, right? So when we talk about energy mix, my take is that whatever you have conveniently in your place, use it. Don't go for huge transmissions, huge transportations, huge infrastructure. And in that case, Mr. Rahman, you have asked this question to Mr. R.K. Chaudhary. Just please be brief in your answer, sir.
Sir, I will tell you, hydro projects you have already briefed. Hydro projects, a lot of advantages, even for the environmental aspect. It is adding to the environment of the country. Hydro project and pumped storage projects are a big tool for achieving the carbon neutrality.
Right. It is the cheapest also.
Yes.
Per unit of hydropower produced is cheapest among all the sources.
It is a carbon sink, sir. So whatever the area we are going to submerge, double the area of that, we are going to do the afforestation. You can see around the reservoir of the hydro project, there is a lot of vegetation. Water table is raised. So because of the raising of the water table, lot of vegetation and greeneries you will find. And double the area you are going to do the afforestation. So hydro project and the reservoir, the pumped storage projects act like a carbon sink. So it adds to the environment. So that I will add a lot of advantage. Job, employment creation, lot of development, infrastructure development.
Sakibur, if you are sitting throughout the whole session here, last 90 minutes we have discussed about this, I think you have taken the note that how it is helping us and how it's a free source of energy. Any other question, please?
I am from Coal India.
Please.
I am a geologist basically. Out of 8 states, we have got coal in 5 states.
Yes.
The reserves are about 1.778 billion tons of coal. We have got 654 square kilometers of area that is totally unexplored. In 1992, we utilized our
Please come to your question, sir.
Yeah.
We are eating on the time on the next session.
Yeah. In 1995, we shifted to Northeast for mining, but we are sent back to Coal India. Again, we are going back again for exploration, sir. We have explored around 28 square kilometers of area in coal. It's 1.778 billion tons of coal is all there. Please have a look at the coal mining and coal exploration also, in addition to your hydrogeology and hydro and other resources. Thank you.
Sir, be assured that coal is not going to go away very soon. I'm telling you, it is like basically, in spite of saying that it's a dirty, ugly, black source of fuel, still we have got lots of things to do with 48.3% of the power generated in India still comes from coal plants, right? In one day you cannot go. That is the reason why Honorable Prime Minister has says India can go carbon neutral only by 2070. US said 2050, China said 2060. Why India said 2070? Many reporters of the globe, they came and told Honorable Prime Minister, you were so proactive, you were so, always you were #1 country in the world. But still you are saying, he says, I cannot give you a false commitment without looking at the base condition of my country. I have to look at that. Still coal is being used. You like it or don't like it. Okay. So energy mix will not drastically change today. And Northeast coal, of course, has got value. It is a major source of power. Salakati is the still biggest power station in the state under NTPC. Okay. So we are going for it, but as many people have voiced here, they will come when our next generation will ask, why did you make the environment so dirty and full of carbon dioxide? So one day or the other, we have to phase out fossil fuels. There is no alternative. Fossil fuels must go sometime or the other. That's the take. So thank you. You are asking question or you have a question also?
Myself Chandrakala, I'm an independent journalist. I have a question. Actually, as we know that the world is actually facing a major global crisis, energy crisis. How do you see, Northeast playing a major role with the right kind of strategies going ahead to face the geopolitical challenges arising out of, be it Russia-Ukraine war, where India has been really trying hard to be collaborating with different countries to meet its energy requirement. So it's open to the panelists, sir.
Okay. So I don't know whether I stand correct, or probably I'm the fittest person to answer this question. I think it's not a global energy crisis. It's just because of the geopolitical war, and probably with the current after the US elections, I think in the next 6 months that's going to die down, and gas is going to flow from Russia to Europe again. So that is one prerogative, and I think Northeast has already been taken care overall by the government of India as well as the state governments, that the energy supply keeps going to Northeast. I don't think that Northeast will be deprived of energy anytime, because the potential is also there, as well as now we have a common national grid, and we have organizations like NTPC and ONGC and Indian Oil which have gas reserves and oil reserves there. So you have a local reserve potential which is already catering to the mainland, apart from what the mix is. If it is regarding just power, I think yes, more and more investments will come when Invest Assam is happening. The northeastern states are opening up with such a, I think this was the first time this kind of event is happening. And if it is going to happen every year, I'm sure a lot of investments are going to come into the Northeast, because it's more about the kind of attractiveness that you provide, that please come and do that. And if we are talking about renewable energy investments elsewhere, and it is going to come to the Northeast also. And I'm sure ambitions of hydropower, PSP are all huge. And even the government of India has been spending a lot on the revamped distribution sector scheme. So your losses which accrue to about 30%, it is going to come down to say 15 to 10% very soon. So I'm sure every citizen will also get empowered slowly. They will have access to good energy and probably access to clean energy very sooner. I think one area which I think because of the hilly terrain is the gas cylinders probably must be going to each homes. So you may not be having a connected grid. That is one which is very difficult also in citing the terrain. But very, very neutral perspective, I think it is going to get supplemented or complemented more. I don't think Northeast staying or deprived of any energy anymore, I think.
In fact, Northeastern regions should be able to contribute for the solution to the neighboring countries. Even these political and other issues facing by these neighbors of Northeast India, Northeastern region could help them to solve their energy problem with the advantage that we have in the Northeastern regions.
Thank you, Dr. Borua. So we have, as I said, we are now impeding on the next session, which we should not do. We need to be precise, but definitely for the organizers, if you call 6 panelists like this, plus a minister from a state, sir, you are putting up a 10 megawatt proposal for Dimapur district for geothermal project, I suppose, right? So this is one area which we did not speak here. We have many hot springs in Northeast, many. So even from that also, energy mix is something, dear friends, which cannot be spoken in a single line or single stanza. It has to have a lot of variations. Mrinal remembers, in spite of AIDA and APDCL's biggest efforts, something like 17,500 or 1,750 villages were still unelectrified in Assam. You had the material, you had the implements, but you could not go because it's inaccessible. Keeping these things in mind, we didn't speak even about CBG, did we? We didn't answer. Compressed biogas. 25 each compressed biogas plants are allotted to the big PSUs. Oil India mandate. Ministry says 25 you must do it. You find the investor, you find the entrepreneur, but do it. So like that, there are various ways and means of doing, but the take-home point for you all is that whatever, wherever is available, try to utilize that. It is not, so, and therefore hydro is going to have a major role. Natural gas and hydropower is going to have a major role in the development of Northeast. Rest, all small things will come, and most isolated places where you can't erect poles, no lines can be made, you have to go for local level solution, which are there for people to see. It is not that Northeastern states are not doing enough, they're doing. Arunachal government is doing, Nagaland government is doing. So all governments are doing their own roadmap for energy sufficiency, energy efficiency, sustainable development. And dear friends, don't be very afraid that when you hear the word nuclear, you jump and a lot of NGOs come to the field. It is not like that. Many sources are very, very clean. There is misconception, misapprehensions. We have to remove all those things. Thanks to the organizers of Astalakshmi Mahotsav for giving us this opportunity. But such type of forum with many more experts, diverse experts should happen. And sometimes I personally feel such exercise should also be done in Northeast. Instead of you all coming from Guwahati, sometimes people from Power Ministry and Delhi can go to Northeast. In turn, we can do it, no problem. There are certain international events which is done once in one place, next in one place, so like that. Shillong is there, Itanagar is there, Guwahati is there. In rotation also we can have, that will make more impact on the people and the local media. Media has to play a major role in giving this type of, right type of perspective, flashing in the horizon. So thank you very much on behalf of the entire panel. I thank the listeners, patient hearing from the listeners, organizers and everyone present here for a wonderful session. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, indeed, a wonderful session. I thank all our esteemed panelists for giving your time and efforts and insightful contribution, which made this session really interesting. Thank you so much once again. And before we wrap up, I request Dr. Shripana Barua ma'am to kindly honor our panelists with gifts as an appreciation. Thank you. A huge round of applause for our panelists who are all the way here to share their really, really insightful comments with us. Thank you so much.